And Jagu together point their barbs. Give him a long stroke. Stroke, Tash-Tigo. Start him, Tash, my boy.
What's up, folks? We're here with another segment of 15 in the Line. I'm your host, Mike, and we have a special guest with us, Mr. John Doyle. How you doing?
Good. All right. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. So, can you tell us a little bit about what do you do?
Well, in the capacity that you guys are talking to me, I'm the artistic director of Ironage Theater and of the Center Theater. Ironage Theater is a professional theater company in the Philadelphia region, although we have plays touring the country. And then the Center Theater is Norristown's 17-year-old professional theater.
So where's your love for theater come from?
So that's an interesting question. I think that when you talk about the love of the theater, it's a very different thing than the love of what I do now. So the love of the theater really came from my time when I was quite young. My aunt, Rory Zuma, who taught drama at Norristown High School, was in theater school when I was a little kid. She had theater stuff always around the house. My parents had theatrical things around the house, although they didn't do theater. And then I became involved with a lady named Nancy Davis in, I don't know, 8th grade at Eisenhower, 7th grade at Eisenhower. And from there, doing the act of performing was really exciting. My love of theater, I think, comes from a much more intellectual and artistic capacity, and that really happened in high school. So that's, I guess, what I would say.
Is there any certain play that made you realize that this is what I want to do?
Yeah, it's a great idea. I think, or a great question. I think that rather than saying an individual play, I think there's like an experience or two. There's a play called Scapino I did my senior year in high school at Norristown that was this really broad, dynamic comedy that really showed me the distance we can go with comedy on the stage. And I think, when I went off into graduate school for theater, that's where I really discovered things, and it was primarily works that I was working on independently. So there was a piece called Romans in Britain that my theater partner and I did together, which is this crazy play from the 1960s where they actually slit a guy's throat on stage and they bleed him like there's guns, and it's about the IRA. And we did it outside. We had a big burning torch in the middle of a lake and people with M16s on a college campus, and it was a fantastic experience, and I realized sort of the capacity of what you could say with theater. So that would be it.
Now, do you have a specific favorite play?
Yeah, so Waiting for Godot's my favorite play that I've ever produced. I don't know if I have a favorite play that I have seen or a play I want to do. There's lots of plays that are sort of on the horizon. The favorite play, I guess, the other thing that is closest to my heart is a play called Marks in Soho by Howard Zinn, which is on its, 300th performance across the country now. And that play is really dear to my heart. Those two very different kinds of plays, but they are meaningful to me.
Is there a certain playwright that you admire or try to pattern your work after?
Yeah, so no, I don't think there's a certain playwright. I actually just finished writing an elaborate blog about something called, I'm going to use a big awful term, Gesamtkunstwerk. It's a German word that means total artwork. And my philosophy of theater is that we are a team in production. So there's a writer, there's the director who's normally me, there's actors, there's designers, there's all these different people, and together we create some living item that exists in a period of time. And I guess, and for that reason, that work is what happens. And so I don't have someone I sort of idolize. There are people though who I think theatrically are really powerful. This guy named Peter Brook, who did all of this sort of experimental work in France. He did I guess the play's 16 hours long, called the Mahabharata, which I saw up in New York when I was in grad school. And you literally, you have lunch and dinner during the play. So you watch the first act and then you have lunch and then you go back for another 3 hours, you have dinner, you go back. It's like huge, long, gigantic day. It's a full day of theater. Amazing piece. And I think he's pretty cool. And then Samuel Beckett, I think, is spectacular. Just some people I really care about. But I'm more about I'm more about where I am in the moment.
So what's it like putting on a production? Like, take us to the writing, the helping out the actors, and then putting on the actual performance.
So there's two angles to that. The first is if we're producing a play from scratch. So a play just opened just now in January. It's called Up from the Ashes, and we started a year ago with an author from the Philadelphia Dramatist Center. Over the past year, we've worked on this script as a team. The actress who's playing the lead role, myself and the playwright, along with some other people who've read the play, and we hammer away at it. And then there's a point where you stop writing, and I don't really do the writing. I'm a consultant, and I tell people what sucks. I kind of say, let's get rid of this, or this is too long, or this is really great, or here's an idea to use. And then you sit with the actor, and what you do with the actor is like a crucible. You sit with the actor or actors in a space, and we use a great deal of improvisation. So in the first 2 weeks of rehearsal, we hardly look at the text at all. We simply do improvs where we force them into either physical, emotional, or character situations that drive them forward. So, like for instance, we did a play called Moon from the Misbegotten. The main character is an alcoholic. We actually sat down with him one night with the other actors, and we made him drink a fifth of vodka. And at the end of the night, he knew what it meant to be super sick on alcohol in a way, in rehearsal, where you can control and take care of that. In the same way, sometimes we just did Lesson Before Dying, where this character has to learn what it means to be a black man who's beaten down. So we had two other African-American actors, and he was blindfolded, the main character was blindfolded, and they tortured him sort of verbally with slurs, and they poked him and pushed him and prodded him, calling him stupid and all sorts of stuff. And it breaks the actor down so that they're capable of sort of exploring emotions that in our daily lives we've ignored. Then the next step is to watch the actor work, stage the piece, and help them use their tool the best they can. So they act, and then you sort of manipulate what they do. And then finally, it's getting to designers. And so in Up From the Ashes, I hired a guy who's a sound designer who's just magnificent. And so bringing him on board, he watches the play as it is now. He adds sound or audio or music that then supports that production. We do the same thing with lights. So it's a process of slowly adding on components. When you just start with the script and not with a playwright, it's that same process. You just skip all of that prep work, which means the thing you have in your hand, you've had less control over. And sometimes you bend yourself more to the script than you would if you're developing a script from scratch.
Now, do you allow improv during an actual play?
No, to be honest, unless the play calls for it, I would probably pick them off with a sniper rifle from the booth where I'm sitting. I mean, and it's because the text is holy. Like, what's written on the page is holy ground. Our job is to interpret it and bring it to life. If the actor inserts their own being into that, they're not the character anymore, they're the actor, and the actor has no business telling the audience what's going on. The actor is interpreting the text and bringing it to life using that specific tool. Now, that barring, there's a play I did called Shakesploitation, that's this big monstrous comedy redoing of Shakespeare. In that, no problem, right? To find the extra joke, the extra gag, that's great. But in a drama, especially a well-crafted drama, improvisation often becomes about the actor or someone not knowing really what was in the text and why we're doing it.
So, how old were you when you did your first play?
Yeah, so the first play I did, I don't know, it's like 8th grade. I don't know how old you are in 8th grade, 13, 14, 12, I don't have any idea, but that's about when it was. We did some stuff sort of in the back room at my aunt's house during Christmas when they were trying to keep the kids quiet when I was 5 and 6, but that was really the first piece that I did, and it was all musical stuff back then. Now I don't do any musical work really, it's all straight plays.
Is there any tricks to memorizing all those lines? Because some people have a lot of lines to memorize.
Yeah, well, Up From the Ashes, the girl who's doing, she's 37 pages of text to memorize. So the show's 70 minutes long, and she speaks for 70 minutes. And in Citizen Pain, the other one-man show, and in Marks and Soho is about 30 pages. Citizen Pain's about 27. One of the great tools, number one, it's to read the script. The idea is you never want to be remembering your text. You want to know your text. And so you need to be able to inhabit it. That means a lot of rehearsal, number one. You rehearse on the text when you can. Number two, there's a friend of mine who does this cool thing. He highlights the text where he has to talk. And then after he starts to memorize the lines, he highlights the text in green too. And now the green and yellow together become almost too dark to read, but you can still see it. And then he goes over it with blue finally, as he knows the line. So he can still even see the blocks of space on the page. That helps him remember where he is in the text, and he can get his cues, but he's slowly memorized the lines that way. And another guy I know walks around the streets in Norristown. If you ever see a guy wandering around Norristown talking to himself, who doesn't look like he's been on the street for a month, it's probably one of these actors doing his thing.
So how long does it take to do a play?
Yeah, so putting up a production, we run a 5-week rehearsal process, and then we run for 4 weeks. You can shorten that a little bit, and sometimes it's a little longer. So we did a play called Molumby's Million Throws Boxing for part of the play. We ended up having a week longer rehearsal process because just choreographing the boxing took almost a week. For Up From the Ashes, it ended up being a 3-week process because the actress and I, this play's only 70 minutes long, the actress and I didn't have to worry about other personalities. We could really spend time together. So it's flexible, but about 5 weeks is our time frame.
So how much like time specifically from like, you know?
Yeah, so 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, something like that. That's about what we run. 3 hours if I'm being kind and if things are going smoothly, you know. And as you get closer to the run, you actually rehearse less hours because once you're on text and you're just running the piece, you don't want to overburden the actor. They need to do the piece and then reflect on it and then go home. So your end rehearsals can be, 3 hours long.
Is there a dream spot where you would love to put a show on at?
Yeah, there's 100 dream spots. I would love to do a play in a quarry, to be completely honest. There's a play called John Henry we did here a few years back. I would love to do it in a quarry. I'm beginning to work on a play about Mary Baraka for 2 years. Mary Baraka just died. He's one of my literary heroes, and he's our next one-man show. And I'd love to do that on an underground train, on a subway car, on like the high-speed line. I actually did a production of Dutchman, his play Dutchman, on the 100 line into Philly one night. We didn't tell anybody. We just put the actors in there, and it's this horrible play. I mean, it's a wonderful play, but it's a race, all about race, and this black guy is screaming at this white woman and threatening to kill her, and people on it was a fantastic night of theater, and the people stayed on the trolley, afraid to get off because there was these two people screaming at each other, and they watched the whole play on their way into town.
So how did you exactly pull something like that off?
You just do it. It's called guerrilla theater. You just go and do it. For me, theater is a living, breathing animal. It exists everywhere we can make it exist. So I love stuff on the street. When they have the Norristown Arts Hill Day, my actors are the actors who are out there screwing around. There's another Baraka play called The Slave, and this guy's drunk, screaming about racial issues. And I just send him out in the street. When we did Waiting for Godot, we had 2 guys dressed like homeless people running up and down the street, and then they just break into a scene. I think that is so powerful. People think theater is like sitting in a room, watching people talk. For me, theater is about you being responsible to engage with someone who's living and breathing on the stage to learn something about what life is. And there's no better place to do that, like screwing around people's heads. Like if it feels real, it's good. Well, we take improvs out on the street. When we did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, we took the guys to Denny's. We didn't tell Denny's. We just sent them into Denny's and had them order food in character. It's no better lesson for them to learn how to do it than to be in real life. We're doing another play called Speed of Darkness. We had a guy take my daughter to the McDonald's that used to be down on Main to take her out for breakfast and discover what it was like to have a child, like really be responsible for a kid. And her job, I mean, my daughter was like 8 when we did it, was to go to the bathroom and disappear so he would think he lost her. And then we came and we dealt with it afterwards. But that moment where he thought he really lost my real kid makes the theater real. That's what I like.
Now, where's the craziest spot you put on a show at?
So I've done a play at Eastern State Penitentiary about the breakout in one of the cell blocks. We also did a play called Christian Love about a guy who's a necrophilia guy. He would murder women and have sex with them in that same building. They were pretty crazy. We did a play in Fort Mifflin, which is down near the airport, about Nathan Hale. I've done a play that was essentially in a phone booth. We had audience sit outside of a phone booth with I read a lot in my spare time, and I watch good film. Yes, go to Japan. Theater, straight up. That's the thing I would do. An almost impossible question to answer, but probably if I had to really go for it, I'd say The Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Had a good interview with you. Learned a lot of stuff.
Great questions too.
I appreciate that. All right, now back to your host.